What happened to the Camden family after the cameras stopped rolling? Nearly 30 years after the premiere of Seventh Heaven, the cast has experienced scandals, disappointments, comebacks, and dramatic transformations. In 2025, some are brighter than ever, while others have faded from view. So where are they now? Find out. Stephen Collins as Pastor Eric Camden. Pastor Eric Camden is the moral backbone of Seventh Heaven. A devoted pastor, compassionate father, and leader of a dysfunctional family of 7 children. His character exudes calm authority, offering advice while also struggling with his own human flaws. For over a decade, Eric embodied the ideals of family values that drew millions of viewers to the show. However, Collins's career was never as stable as his characters. Initially, after appearances in Star Trek, the motion picture, and Tales of the Golden Monkey, he struggled to break into the box office. Hollywood saw him as a likable, good guy, but this image made it virtually impossible for him to take on darker, more complex roles. Instead of taking leading roles, he remained in supporting roles or on television. When the film Seventh Heaven was released in 1996, Collins finally found fame. But it also came with a curse. Pigeonholed for 11 seasons as Camden's gentle pastor, he was creatively limited. Even series like The First Wives Club gave him a chance to make a name for himself, but they never redefined his career. In interviews, he admitted that playing the same role exhausted him, even though it brought him fame. His career collapsed in 2014 when a leaked recording revealed that he had admitted to inappropriate behavior with a minor. Projects were canceled, reshoots disappeared, and Collins was banned from Hollywood. Success, which was a turning point in his career, became a burden that dragged him into one of television's most infamous scandals. Stephen Collins played Pastor Eric Camden on the series Seventh Heaven in 1996, at the age of 49. In 2025, he will be 78, and his net worth is estimated at $4 million, a fraction of what he had at the peak of his career. Catherine Hicks as Annie Camden. In Seventh Heaven, Annie Camden is the life of the family, the mother who manages to keep everything in check even when life is falling apart. Catherine Hicks brings Annie to life with warmth and strength, showing us a woman who is both gentle and fiercely caring. However, Catherine's career path is fraught with thorns. Before becoming America's mom, she almost lost her role after a tragic car accident in 1995. The accident left her with a spinal injury, and for months she wondered if she would be able to walk without pain, let alone endure the entire series. In the final season, while fans saw her smiling as Annie, she was secretly undergoing chemotherapy. Hicks was diagnosed with early-stage breast cancer in 2006 and chose to keep her illness a secret so as not to affect filming. Behind the camera, she fought for her life, demonstrating the courage for which her character is known. Hollywood isn't easy. Hicks has spoken candidly about the ageism she faced, admitting that after her roles in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, and Chucky, scripts for women over 40 virtually disappeared. The perfectionism that fueled her on set often exhausted her. Catherine Hicks played Annie Camden in the 1996 film Seventh Heaven at the age of 45. She will be 74 years old in 2025 and will retire in 2023. Her net worth is estimated at $2.5 million. Jeremy London as Chandler Hampton. Chandler Hampton didn't appear in every episode, but fans still remember him. Lucy's love interest, a man trying to overcome a difficult past and regain his faith. Jeremy London brings a tenderness to Chandler that makes us root for him, even though life hasn't been easy for him. In fact, Jeremy's life was even more turbulent than his character's past. After Malrots brought him his breakthrough in 1995, his struggles with drugs and alcohol spiraled out of control. What was supposed to be a springboard to starring roles turned into years of headlines about arrests and stints in rehab. The pain he experienced only deepened his suffering. In 1996, he was beaten and robbed by strangers in West Hollywood, leaving him with a head injury and chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Maintaining purity became increasingly difficult for him, and even a stay in Seventh Heaven couldn't erase the shadows that haunted him. His personal life was also no source of solace. His marriage to Melissa Cunningham ended in a bitter divorce, with a custody battle for their son. To make matters worse, his relationship with his twin brother, Jason, broke down and led to public arguments, with each blaming the other for their addictions. Jeremy London played Chandler Hampton in the 2000 film Seventh Heaven at only 28 years old. In 2025, he is 53 years old and still struggling with addiction, with an estimated net worth of just $500. Nicholas Bruno as Sam Camden. You probably remember Sam Camden, one of the mischievous twins who brought laughter and chaos to the Camden family. Along with his real-life siblings, Nicholas Bruno embodied the role with innocence and charm, growing up in front of millions. But Nicholas's story took a tragic turn when the cameras stopped rolling. Fame came too soon. He was just a toddler when the show began, and when it ended, he struggled to settle down. His attempts to pursue an acting career failed, leaving him with supporting roles and mounting pressure to live up to his childhood fame. As a teenager, alcohol became his escape. At 17, he got into trouble with the law for driving without a license. Friends later admitted that he often drank himself into oblivion, masking the burden of growing up in the spotlight that vanished too quickly. Worst came in 2019. While driving drunk on Highway 111, Nicholas lost control of his Infiniti SUV and hit a tree. At just 19 years old, his life came to an end, leaving his family, friends, and former co-stars in shock. Beverly Mitchell described his death as an irreparable loss. Nicholas Bruno played Sam Camden in the film Seventh Heaven in 2000, when he was just 2 years old. He died tragically in 2019 at the age of 19, with his net worth estimated at less than $100, which was mainly made up of inherited money and family support from the show. Jessica Biel as Mary Camden. Mary Camden was never the typical good girl from Seventh Heaven. She was the Camden child who pushed boundaries, tested limits, and forced her family to confront uncomfortable truths. Her passion for basketball symbolized a quest for independence, a way to prove she could stand on her own, away from her parents' expectations. But when Jessica Biel took on this role at just 14 years old, she had no idea it would shape, if not destroy, the early years of her career. At first, fans adored her. She became a teen idol, a face brimming with purity and promise. But Jessica, always ambitious, began to feel trapped. She didn't want to be America's innocent sweetheart forever. So, at 17, she agreed to pose topless for Gear magazine. She wanted to show the world that she was growing up bold, fearless, and willing to take risks. But instead of freedom, she encountered such a strong backlash that she almost ended her career. The public turned against her. The producers of Seventh Heaven withdrew, and Jessica wondered if she had made the biggest mistake of her life. But what seemed like a downfall became a turning point for her. Stripped of her perfect girl image, she began to explore more complex roles. Still, fame came with enormous expectations. Behind the red carpets and magazine covers, Biel quietly struggled with an eating disorder. The pressure to remain flawless in front of the Hollywood cameras left her anxious and exhausted. She later said in interviews that perfection became an addiction she had to fight to overcome. When she starred in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2003, critics were shocked to learn that the sweet girl from Seventh Heaven had become a horror heroine. Strong, determined, and fearless. This showed she wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty. In Illusionist in 2006 and Team AW in 2011, she proved she could hold her own with the big stars. However, her personal life, especially her relationship with Justin Timberlake, became a constant tabloid topic. Every public appearance was scrutinized, every rumor amplified. In 2019, whispers about Justin's alleged affair with a co-star almost tore them apart. Jessica reportedly felt humiliated, but instead of leaving, she decided to fight for the marriage. They went through therapy together and slowly rebuilt trust. Now, with 2 sons, Silas and Phineas, Jessica says motherhood has given her more security than any professional success. She transformed from a teenage rebel into a confident woman, actress, and producer forging her own path. Her Hulu series, Sweets, demonstrated that she still has the power to surprise audiences with depth and intensity. In 2025, at 43 years old, Jessica Biel is still going strong, and her estimated net worth of $20 million proves that rebirth is possible even after a public decline. Barry Watson as Matt Camden. Matt Camden is the responsible eldest son who struggles to find a balance between independence and loyalty to his family. Barry Watson breathed life into the character, combining charm and sincerity, making Matt one of the most beloved characters on the show. However, Barry's career was marked by struggles even more difficult than those Matt faced on screen. After the success of Seventh Heaven, followed by What About Brian? And Samantha Who? So Barry's world came crashing down in 2008 when he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Chemotherapy forced him to give up acting, and the fear of premature death haunted him even after remission. In 2017, the cancer returned, followed by depression. Barry publicly admitted that the endless cycle of treatments, surgeries, and uncertainty left him feeling terrified and exhausted. Still, he persevered, using his position to encourage others to continue the fight, though he admitted he often felt broken inside. The pressures of Hollywood didn't help. At the height of Seven the Heavens' popularity, Watson exhausted himself, subsisting on caffeine and overworking until his health collapsed. His first marriage ended in divorce, followed by custody battles, before he found stability with actress Natasha Gregson Wagner and their daughter Clover. Barry Watson played Matt Camden in Seven the Heaven in 1996 at the age of 22. In 2025, he is 51 and continues to star in series such as Heart of Dixie and the Gossip Girl reboot, with an estimated net worth of $3 million. George Stoltz as Kevin Kinkirk. When George Stoltz took on the role of the calm, gentle police officer who married Lucy Camden, fans immediately took to his character. Kevin Kinkirk represented stability, a man who protected his family without having to raise his voice. However, behind this gentle exterior was an actor whose real life was marked by pain, loss, and a constant struggle to rebuild. Before he hit Hollywood, George's heart belonged to sports. He was a natural athlete, dreaming of a professional career. But in 1998, everything changed. A serious head injury during a college football game led to post-traumatic stress disorder and severe anxiety. For months, he couldn't sleep, and the bright lights of stadiums replaced hospital ceilings. Acting came into his life almost by accident, when a friend encouraged him to audition for a commercial. That small step turned into a second chance. When he joined Seventh Heaven in 2003, George was 28 years old and still learning to find his composure in front of the camera. Viewers loved his steady demeanor, but few realized the inner conflict he carried. As his fame grew, so did his fears. In 2011, another tragedy struck. A skiing accident that resulted in a broken leg. Doctors warned him that his mobility might never return to normal. For an actor whose image was built on strength and athleticism, the injury was devastating. Only after almost a year of therapy was he able to walk without pain. By the time he was ready to return to work, his personal life was in ruins. His marriage to actress Charlotte Wakefield collapsed amid public accusations and legal chaos. Although the domestic violence charges were dropped, the scandal damaged his reputation. The job offers dried up, and George found himself at an impasse again, uncertain of his next chapter. In recent years, he has appeared in smaller television projects such as Finder and Supernatural. Although George is no longer a household name, he has chosen a quieter life. Friends say he has found peace by mentoring young actors and supporting mental health initiatives, using his own story to help others cope with trauma. At 50, George Stoltz lives a modest but fulfilling life. With a net worth of approximately $1 million, he focuses on health and fitness, and occasionally returns to the screen in roles that resonate with him personally. His journey, like that of Kevin Kinkirk, is a story of perseverance, proof that even when dreams are shattered, there is always a way to rebuild. Rachel Blanchard as Roxanne Richardson. Roxanne Richardson entered the series Seventh Heaven as a strong, confident cop who wasn't afraid to challenge others, especially Martin, the object of her affections. Rachel Blanchard brought a breath of fresh air to the series' later years. But behind her strong on-screen persona, Blanchard had problems. The pressure to stay slim after her role in Dopey Trouble led her to develop a serious eating disorder. In 2011, she was hospitalized, where she admitted that she forced herself to vomit just to maintain a certain image in Hollywood. Even before that, tragedy nearly ended her career. In 2005, she fell off her bicycle, breaking her leg and sustaining a head injury. Her recovery was slow and painful, and at one point, doctors warned her she might never perform again. She did return, but the experience left her shaken and vulnerable. Her personal life was in shambles. Her marriage to Major Kirkby broke up in 2015 after years of tension, custody battles over their son Osso, and the financial burden of a shopping spree. At one point, she admitted that excessive spending had left her deeply in debt. Rachel Blanchard played Roxanne Richardson on the television series Seven the Heaven in 2004, when she was 28 years old. In 2025, she is 49 years old, still acting in series such as The Magicians, and has an estimated net worth of $1.5 million. Lorenzo Brino as David Camden. David Camden, Sam's twin brother, is the other half of the mischievous duo who constantly cause trouble for the Camden family. Like his siblings, Lorenzo Brino has been on the series Seven the Heaven since childhood, appearing in 93 episodes from seasons 5 to 11. However, like his brother Nicholas, Lorenzo's life took a turn for the worse when the cameras stopped rolling. His fame ended too soon. His studies didn't go as he had hoped, and he struggled to build a career outside of the series. Frustration drove him to party, drink, and make reckless decisions that would shape him well into his teens. By the age of 18, his dangerous habits had surfaced. Friends recall nights gambling and high-speed driving, and in 2018, he was even arrested for petty theft. The once beloved TV twins are now a young man finding his way in a world that seems to have forgotten him after his childhood fame. Tragedy struck on February 9, 2020. While driving his Porsche 944 at high speed in San Bernardino, Lorenzo lost control of the car and collided with a truck. The accident claimed his life instantly, at the age of just 21, a painful reminder of the fate that also befell his twin brother. Stephen Collins called his death the loss of another son. Lorenzo Brino played David Camden in the 2000 film Seven the Heaven at just 2 years old. He died tragically in 2020 at the age of 21, with a net worth of approximately $50,000. This was largely due to his inheritance from the show and support from his family. Beverly Mitchell as Lucy Camden. Lucy Camden is the emotional heart of Seven Heaven, sweet, always willing to help, and always wanting to be taken seriously. Her character matures on screen as the third Camden daughter, tackling storylines that mirror the ups and downs of real teenage life. However, playing Lucy comes at a high price. Mitchell has often admitted that the emotional burden of Lucy's drama, jealousy, heartbreak, and constant tears took a toll on her mental health. In her late teens, she struggled with social anxiety, worrying she wasn't good enough, even while starring in one of the most popular family sitcoms. Her personal life brought even deeper pain. In 2018, after giving birth to 2 daughters, Mitchell suffered a miscarriage 5 months into her pregnancy with her third child, a boy. She fell into depression and needed therapy to cope with the grief. She bravely shared her story publicly, hoping it would help other mothers feel less alone. There were also obstacles along the way, such as a public argument with husband Michael Cameron that made headlines in 2020. Despite these hardships, Mitchell continues to thrive, finding new roles in Christmas movies and co-hosting the podcast Catching Up with the Camden. While rebuilding her relationship with her TV family, Beverly Mitchell landed the role of Lucy Camden in the 1996 film Seventh Heaven when she was just 15 years old. In the year 2025, Rachel Blanchard, 44 years old, is a mother of 3 children and has an estimated net worth of $2 million, accumulated from her roles in Seven the Heaven and later roles such as The Secret Life of the American Teenager.